So take, we are finding the Z transform. So take the problem number 15. Take x of n is equal to, so it is 7 into 1 by 3 to the power of n into u of n minus 6 into 1 by 2 to the power of n into u of n. So we need to find the Z transform of this one. So take this one. X of n is equal to 7 into 1 by 3 to the power of n into u of n minus 1 by 2 to the power of n into u of n. Done, right? So for this one, we need to find out the Z transform. Okay, so here let us consider the formula for the Z transform. So x of z is equal to, let us write the generalized formula. So it is summation n is equal to minus infinity to the plus infinity. So x of n into z to the power of minus n, x of n into z to the power of minus n. So we'll substitute for x of n. These are terms here. I'm going to apply the linearity property so that we'll get 7 into 7 is the constant. I'm going to take outside the integral summation. N is equal to minus infinity to the plus infinity. So it is 1 by 3 to the power of n into u of n. So which are the terms which is a function of n, I'm going to take inside the summation. Rest of the terms will keep outside the summation. Minus 6 into summation n is equal to minus infinity to the plus infinity 1 by 2 to the power of n into u of n into z to the power of minus n. U of n into z to the power of minus n. Now what we can do is, so what we can do is, so we'll substitute for the u of n. So u of n is nothing but, so we know that u of n is equal to 1 from 0 is less than n is less than infinity and 0 for n is less than 0. So this is the value for the u of n. Okay, in place of u of n, I'm going to substitute as 1 and I'm going to change the limits of the summation to the 0 to the infinity I'll make here. So x of z will become 7 into summation n is equal to 0 to infinity. In place of u of n, I'm substituting as 1 and the limits I'm going to change according to these limits here. So 1 by 3. So since n is common, I'll take z inverse to the power of n minus 6 into summation. Here also same thing, n is equal to 0 to infinity. So 1 by 2 into z inverse all to the power of n. We'll write here all to the power of n. Done. Done, right? Okay, now this is in the form of sum of infinite terms formula. That is, we have summation n is equal to 0 to the infinity. We have summation n is equal to 0 to infinity. So we'll apply the sum of infinite terms formula. N is equal to 0 to infinity we have. So we know that we can recall this one. So a to the power of n, this is nothing but 1 divided by 1 minus a. So provided a should not be equal to 1 here. Sorry, a should be less than 1. A should be less than 1. So this is the sum of infinite terms formula. So we'll write accordingly. So as per this one, in place of a, we have this one. So we'll substitute x of z is equal to. So in place of a, we have this one 1 by 3 into z inverse. So we can write, so 7 divided by 1 minus 1 by 3 into z inverse. 1 by 3 into z inverse minus 6 into, so here it is 6 divided by 1 minus 1 by 2 into z inverse. The ROC for this one is 1 by 3 into z inverse. The ROC for the first one is, so 1 by 3 into z inverse should be less than 1. Okay, and ROC for this one is 1 by 2 into z inverse should be less than 1. So we'll solve for the ROC. Okay, now let us find out the ROC for these two things here. So 1 by 3 should be less than 1. Later we can go for simplification of this one. So 1 by 3 is nothing but, so 1 by 3 into z inverse it will become. So we can write, so 1 by 3 into z should be less than 1. Or else let us simplify, cross multiply z here. So 1 by 3 should be less than z, or this implies that z should be greater than 1 by 3. So this is the ROC for the first summation. So similarly, for the second summation, we have 1 by 2 into Z inverse should be less than 1, or Z should be greater than the 1 by 2. So that is ROC for the second summation. Okay. So here among 1 by 2 and 1 by 3, so 1 by 3 is nothing but it is 0.33 and 1 by 2 is nothing but it's a 0.5. Among this one, the maximum is nothing but 1 by 2 is the maximum here. 1 by 2 is the maximum. So therefore, we are going to take the maximum. The ROC will be considered as it's a maximum of 1 by 3 and 1 by 2 will be taken here, because both are the positive sided ROCs here. Both are positive sided ROCs. That's why we're going to take like this. So Z should be greater than the 1 by 2 will be considered as the ROC is considered here. Z is greater than 1 by 2 is considered as ROC. Now let us simplify the x of Z here. Let us simplify for the x of Z. You got it now? So whenever both are the positive sided sequence, we are going to consider the maximum as the will be considered as the ROC will be considered here. So now we have this one. So 7 minus 1 by 3 into Z inverse. Let us take the LCM. So this will become 7 into Z divided by Z minus 1 by 3. Here also let us take the LCM. So we'll get that one. So here if you take the LCM, it will become x of Z is equal to 7 into Z divided by Z minus 1 by 3 minus 6 into Z divided by Z minus 1 by 2 will get here. 1 by 2, and the ROC for this one is, so Z is greater than the 1 by 2. The magnitude of Z is greater than 1 by 2. And location of poles, let us find out the location of poles here. The location of poles is nothing but, so Z is greater than the 1 by 3. Sorry, at Z is equal to 1 by 3, one pole is there, and Z is equal to 1 by 2, the other pole is there here. So Z minus 1 by 3 equate this one to 0, equate this one to 0, and equate this one to the 0, so that we'll get the two poles are there at Z is equal to 1 by 3 and 1 by 2. So let us plot the ROC, and this is 1 by 3 is the limit, it's a 0.33, and 1 by 2 is the limit, it's a 0.5. There are two poles are located, and 0 is located at the 0. The ROC is going to lie outside the 1 by 2. So this is the ROC. Okay, so let us mark the ROC, which is going to lie outside this one. So this is the real part of that, and this is the imaginary part of Z. This is the ROC. The ROC is going to lie outside the circle. If you want, you can put the one box here. So the ROC is going to lie outside this circle. So right. So we got the Z transform of the sequence. We got this is Z transform and this is ROC. So similarly, let us find out the Z transform of the other sequence. Any doubts in this one? No doubts. Okay, so we'll take the next problem. So take next one. X of n is equal to, so it is 3 into 4 by 5 to the power of n minus 2 by 3 to the power of 2n whole thing multiplied by u of n, whole thing multiplied by u of n. So we'll find out this one. So here we have 2 by 3 to the power of 2n is there. So this one we can write the square can be multiplied inside here. So the square can be taken inside here. So we can write x of n is equal to, so 3 into 4 by 5 to the power of n minus, let us take the square of this one. So it has become 4 by 9 to the power of n into u of n. Into u of n we can write. Okay. So this is the u of n, the square is we can write here, and we can evaluate this one similar to the previous problem here. We can evaluate this one similar to the previous problem. So I'm going to write the Z transform for this one. It is summation n is equal to minus infinity plus infinity x of n into z to the power of minus n. Let us substitute for the x of n here. So x of z, and I'll take the common among the z and I'll take common here. So it is 3 into summation n is equal to 0 to infinity, because we know that u of n is nothing but, so it is 1 from 0 is less than n is less than infinity, and 0 for n is less than 0. So I'll take this n common, I'll take here. Okay, so it is 0 to infinity. I'll take the common terms now only. So because we already done this one. So 4 by 5 to the power of z inverse into n. Okay, so 4 by 5 Z inverse all to the power of n. So minus summation, we have another summation because of this term, n is equal to 0 to infinity. It is 4 by 9 into Z inverse all to the power of n. All to the power of n. So this is 4 by 5 and this is the 4 by 9. Now let us take the Z transform of this one. So when you take the Z transform, this has become Z divided by 1 minus 4 by 5 into Z inverse minus this is 1 divided by 1 minus 4 by 9 into Z inverse. Or minus 1 by 4 9 into Z inverse will get. Done, right? Now what we can do is now the ROC for this one is the ROC. So this one is that is 4 by 5 into Z inverse. 4 by into 5 into Z inverse should be less than 1. Z is greater than the 4 by 5 will get here. So similarly 4 by 9 into Z inverse should be less than 1. Z is greater than the 4 by 9. Z is greater than the 4 by 9. So among these two, the maximum is this is the maximum here. So therefore the ROC is that is Z is greater than the maximum of these two. So since both are the positive sided sequence, that's why we'll take here. So 4 by 9. So therefore the ROC is greater than the 4 by 5 is the ROC here. Z is greater than the 4 by 5. This is the ROC. Okay. Z is greater than 4 by 5 is the ROC. And if you're going to evaluate this one, so this will become x of Z will become equal to the 3 into Z divided by Z minus 4 by 5 minus Z divided by Z minus 4 by 9. Z divided by 4 by 9. And ROC is Z is greater than the 4 by 5. Greater than the 4 by 5 is ROC. Z is greater than the 4 by 5 will be the ROC. So right, let us plot the ROC and the location of poles is one pole is located at 4 by 5, other pole is located at the 4 by 9. 4 by 9. So we'll consider the location of poles. The location of poles is at Z is equal to 4 by 5 and other one is Z is equal to 4 by 9. So we'll plot the ROC. So this is the real part of Z and this is the imaginary part of Z. Okay, so we'll have 4 by 9 is less when compared to the 4 by 5. So this is 4 by 9 and this is 4 by 5. So the ROC is going to lie outside the circle. So you can make it this as like this one. So you can put one box if you want here. So this is the region of convergence. Okay, this is the region of convergence. So this is ROC. Done, right? Any doubts in this one? Any doubts in finding the Z transform? So I'll take the next function. So take the next problem. So problem number 17. X of n is equal to, so I'll consider the other function which is in terms of the sign here. So we already did the same problem for the in the DTFT we are done here. So it is sine 4 by pi by 4 n into u of n. So x of n is equal to sine 4 by 9 into u of n. We'll find out the Z transform of this one. So sine function is there. So directly we can't evaluate this one. So what we'll do is we'll express the sine function as the exponential function we'll express here. So we can express sine as x of n into 1 by 3. So this one can be expressed as e to the power of j pi by 4n minus e to the power of minus j pi by 4n. So whole thing divided by 2j. Okay. So here n is common among these two. So we can take the n common, you can take multiply by u of n. So we know that u of n is equal to, it is 1 from 0 is less than n is less than infinity and 0 for n is less than 0. N is less than 0. So we can take the x of n can be written as, so since n is common among this one, we can write as 1 by 3 into e to the power of j pi by 4 whole to the power of n minus Okay, so 1 by 3 e to the power of minus j pi by 4 all to the power of n, we can write here, all to the power of n. So this is x of n, and here n can take the value from 0 is less than n is less than infinity. So this is what the value of n can take. So what I did is I convert the sign into the, by using the Euler's formula, we converted like this, and we got these terms. So this is for x of n we got. Now what we'll do is, now we'll substitute this in the Z transform formula and we'll evaluate this one. So let us consider write the generalized formula for the Z transform. So x of z is equal to summation n is equal to minus infinity plus infinity x of n into z to the power of minus n. Let us substitute this one, and the limit is going to vary from 0 to the infinity. In place of x of n, we have these two terms are there. We have these two terms. Okay, we'll substitute and we'll take n common in the z transform. Let us take the n common here, so that it will become, so 1 by 3 into e to the power of j pi by 4 into z inverse all to the power of n minus the other summation n is equal to 0 to infinity. So it is 1 by 3 e to the power of minus j pi by 4 into z inverse all to the power of n. So this entire thing is multiplied by 1 by 2j. This entire thing is multiplied by 1 by 2j. Now we'll apply again the same sum of infinite terms formulas will apply. Sum of infinite terms formulas will apply. So that is, we have summation n is equal to 0 to infinity. A to the power of n is the limit. So 1 divided by 1 minus a. So provided a should be less than 1. So we'll apply accordingly. So this has become x of z is equal to 1 by 2j. So this is 1 divided by 1 minus 1 by 3 e to the power of j. So pi by 4 into z inverse. Okay. Pi by 4 into z inverse. So minus this one, 1 divided by 1 minus 1 by 3 into e to the power of j pi by 4 into z inverse. So this is one is minus, other one is a plus. So this entire thing is multiplied by 1 by 2j. Now the ROC, we'll take the ROC, the magnitude of this one consider here. If you are going to simplify this one, so x of z will become, so 1 over 2j into, so z divided by z minus 1 by 3 into e to the power of j pi by 4 minus this one is z divided by, so z minus 1 by 3 into e to the power of minus j pi by 4 will get here. And the ROC is, the ROC for this one is, this should be less than 1. So that is 1 by 3 into e to the power of j pi by 4 into z inverse. So we need to consider the magnitude here should be less than 1, should be less than 1 or else. So this should be less than 1 means we can write as z is greater than the, if you're going to simplify, 1 by z will become, or z is less than this one will get, or if it will become 1 by 3 will get here. Because the magnitude of e to the power of j pi by 4 is 1 here. It is 1, so it will become z is greater than 1 by 3 is the ROC. Z is greater than 1 by 3 is ROC. So we can plot here. So at 1 by 3, one pole is there. So outside this pole circle, we have the ROC. This is the ROC, we can plot it here. So this is the real part, and this is the imaginary part of Z. Real part of Z, and this is the imaginary part of Z. So this is the Z transform of the sine function. Done. Any doubts in this one? Okay, now we'll go for the some of the properties of the ROC is there. So we have seen regarding the ROC so far, we have seen the how the ROC will be there for the sequences here. Now we'll see some of the properties of the ROC is there here. So based on this one, so far what are the observations we made is, so far the ROC for the positive sided sequence is going to lie inside the outside the circle here. So this is for the positive sided sequence. For the double sided sequence, for the negative sided sequence, the ROC is going to lie inside the circle. Okay, and for the double sided sequence, ROC is going to lie inside the concentric circles here. Okay, the same thing you're going to make it as a properties will make here. we'll make this as a properties and we'll evaluate those things. Okay. So we'll evaluate that one. So take the next concept is nothing but it's a properties of ROC. There are some properties are there. So in the exam, they will ask the import of these properties. They will ask here. So properties of ROC. So take the properties of ROCs. The properties of ROC are listed below. So ROC is having around some 6 to 7 properties are there. Okay, the first property is that the ROC of the x of z, it contains a circle here, okay, in the z plane and centered about the origin. So you know about the circle, right? So that is the first property you can take. The ROC of x of z consists of a ring. In the z plane. Ring in the z plane. Centered about the origin. Centered about the origin. So this is it consists of the ring here. So usually the ROC consists of this is the ring. It is centered about the origin, either based on the input sequence. So this is the real part of Z and this is the imaginary part of Z here. So based on the whether it is a positive sided sequence or negative sided sequence, the ROC is going to lie inside the circle or the outside the circle. It is going to lie here. Okay, so that is the first property. That is the first property of the ROC. Done. So already we have seen in the different problems you have seen how the ROC will be there. Okay. Now we'll consider second property here. So far we have seen, so in the previous problems, these are the poles of the ROC we are considered here, and this is also the pole of the ROC we are considered here. So you can see the ROC is going to lie outside the circle, so that the ROC does not contain any poles at all here. So the poles is going to lie, ROC does not have any poles here. So here also you can see, here also you can see, in the many problems we have seen that one. So let us take the next property is nothing but, so ROC does not contain any poles here. So this is very important property. The ROC, the region of convergence, should not have any poles here. If the poles are there, then the stability of the system will not be there here. Stability of the system will not be there. So this one you are going to do when you go for the next semester in the design of the filters. That is in case of the design of the infinite impulse response filters. There we are going to map the poles of the S plane, that is in the Laplace transform, that is for the analog filter, to the digital filter we are going to map. So there we are going to consider this factor and we are going to find the stability of the filter once we have done the design here. Okay, so got it right? So take the ROC does not contain any poles. Does not contains any poles. The ROC does not contains any poles. Okay, so this is the second property. So then we have seen on the second or third problem we have seen, so that if the ROC is the sequence here, so the ROC does not for the finite duration sequence. Suppose if x of n is going to lie between the some -3 to the +3 like that, the ROC is going to be it's a entire z plane except z is equal to 0 and z is equal to infinity. In the third problem we have seen that concept, so we are going to write that as one property here. So you can take if x of n is a finite duration sequence, or if a finite duration, then the ROC is entire z plane. Then the ROC is entire z plane. Then the ROC is entire z plane. Entire z plane. ROC is the entire z plane. Entire z plane, except z is equal to 0 and z is equal to infinity. Except z is equal to 0 and z is equal to infinity. So this is the ROC of the sequence. which you are considered the finite duration sequence. Take the next property. So now we are taken after this one we have seen the right-sided sequence we have seen here. So for the right-sided sequence, the ROC is going to lie outside the circle. It is going to lie. So that is the property we'll make here. You take if x of n is a right-sided sequence, right-sided sequence, then ROC lies outside the circle. ROC lies outside the circle. So how it will be there? So like this. Suppose here the pole will be there here. So this outside this circle, the ROC is going to lie here. So this is the real part of Z, and this is the imaginary part of Z here. So the ROC is going to lie outside this circle. It is going to lie here. So then, so this is the region of convergence for the positive sided sequence. Similarly, we'll consider for the negative sided sequence. So taken right. So we'll consider the next property. That is, you can take if x of n is the negative sided sequence. If x of n is negative sided sequence, then ROC lies inside the circle. So we have seen the problems on this one inside the circle. So this is this is the location of poles. So inside this location of poles, the ROC is going to lie. So this is the real part, and this is the imaginary part of Z. The ROC is going to lie inside the circle. Done. So this is for the negative sided sequence. Afterwards, you have seen the double-sided sequence we have seen. So we'll take the ROC for the double-sided sequence. Okay. So take the next properties for the double-sided sequence. If x of n is the two-sided sequence, if x of n is the two-sided sequence, if x of n is the two-sided sequence, then the ROC is going to lie. ROC lies between two poles. So between the two poles, the ROC is going to lie between the two poles here. So let us take this one. So this is one pole, other pole. So the ROC is the concentric circles we'll get here. So between these two, so this is the ROC is going to lie here. So this is the real part, and this is the imaginary part of Z. Okay. Done. Done, right? So next one will take the next property, which is called as suppose if the x of n is a rational number, so then we'll see how the ROC is going to lie. So I can take if the Z transform of x of Z. So take the seventh property. If the Z transform of Z transform x of Z, if this Z transform x of Z of x of n So is rational number. Suppose if x of n is a rational number is nothing but it's a ratio of the number, then ROC is going to lie between it's a bounded between the poles, or it extends to infinity here. ROC is bounded by poles or extends to infinity. So it is going to be bounded by the poles, or it is going to be extended to the infinity. So these are some of the properties of the ROC. Just I'm going to recall what are the properties we have seen so far here. The first property is nothing but, so the ROC contains the circle here. The ROC contains the circle, and the ROC does not contain any poles. This is a very important property of the ROC here. So next one is, so for the positive sided sequence, so it is if x of z is a finite duration sequence, the ROC is going to lie between the x is entire z plane except z is equal to 0 and z is equal to infinity. Okay, so this is how the ROC is going to lie for the two terms if it is entire z plane. Okay, next for the positive sided sequence, the ROC is going to lie outside the circle. For the negative sided sequence, ROC is going to lie inside the circle, and this is between the two concentric circles, and this is for the ROC is going to lie for the it is extends between the poles and this one here. Okay, so these are some of the properties. These properties are very important here. So in the exam, they will ask many properties they will ask. Okay, based on this one, you may get around some 6 to 8 marks you'll get here. We're done. Okay, we'll go for the properties of the Z transform. See here. So these are the properties of the ROC, and we'll see the properties of the Z transforms. We'll see. So there are around some what are the properties you've seen for the discrete time Fourier transform. The same property is applicable for the Z transforms also. Okay, so take the properties of Z transform. Properties of Z transform. So just a second, I'll get the pen. Okay. Okay, so we'll consider the properties of the Z transform. Take the first property. So any doubts in the ROC? Any doubts in the ROC, the region of convergence? Any doubts? No doubts. So take the property. Take the first property. First one is the linearity property. Linearity property. So it's a linearity property is common for all the transforms. Let us take that one. So first one is it's very simple. So let's take the statement. Take the statement. if x of n, z transform x of z, if x of n, z transform x of z, and y of n, z transform y of z, y of z transform y of z, then a into x of n plus b into y of n, a into x of n plus b into y of n, a into x of n plus b into y of n, z transform z transform is equal to a into x of z plus b into y of z, a into x of z plus b into y of z. Okay. So prove this one. This is a very simple one. So let us consider the proof of this one. Okay, so we'll consider the this LHS part. We'll consider. Let us say this is nothing but something called z of n, and this is z of z. Okay, so z transform. So let us consider z transform. Instead of z, I'll take it as something called u of n here. So this has become u of z. Will get. Okay, so we'll consider z transform of this one. So x of z is equal to, sorry, I'll consider the u of z. So that is summation n is equal to minus infinity to the plus infinity. So u of n into z to the power of minus n, z to the power of minus n. So this is the z transform we'll consider. In place of u of n, I'm going to substitute this one. So u of z is equal to summation n is equal to minus infinity to the plus infinity. So a into x of n plus b into y of n into z to the power of minus n. So we'll split for this one. So we'll split for this one. So if you're going to split here, so this will become equal to the, if I'm going to split here, so this will become equal to the, split the summation here, summation n is equal to minus infinity plus infinity a into x of n into z to the power of minus n plus b into summation n is equal to minus infinity plus infinity. So y of n into z to the power of minus n. So this has become the z transform of this one is a into x of z plus b into y of z will get here. So this is what the linearity property will get here, the proof of the linearity property. Okay. Done, right? We'll go for the next property, which is called as the time shift property. Done. Any doubts in this one? We'll go for the next property, which is called as a time shift property. Take the time shift property. So it says like this. So if x of n, z transform x of z, so then we have y of n is equal to, which is nothing but the time shifted version of the x of n. So if we take the z transform, so this has become x of z into z to the power of minus n naught will get. So this is nothing but y of z. This is nothing but the y of z will consider. This is the Z transform of the time shifted sequence. Okay, so we'll consider the proof of this one. The proof of this one is nothing but, so y of z is equal to summation n is equal to minus infinity plus infinity, that is y of n into z to the power of minus n. In place of y of n, let us substitute that one. Summation n is equal to minus infinity plus infinity. This has x of n minus n naught into z to the power of minus n. So here for the z transform of this one, so n minus n naught should not be there, only the single term should be there. So we'll substitute here, let n minus n naught is equal to something called L. So this implies that L is equal to this implies that n is equal to, so this n is equal to L plus n naught will get, L plus n naught will get here. So, and the limits will become accordingly the same thing only, because both the terms are infinity only. So it will become y of z is equal to summation L is equal to minus infinity plus infinity x of L into z to the power of minus L plus n naught, and n naught is a constant here. So we'll split into the other term. Summation L is equal to minus infinity plus infinity x of L into z to the power of minus L into z to the power of minus n naught, z to the power of minus n naught. So this is nothing but the z transform of the x of z here, and the extra term will get. So this is y of z is equal to, we can write as x of z into z to the power of minus n naught. So we can rewrite this one. We can rewrite this one as the x of n minus n naught, x of n minus n naught. So if we take the z transform, this has become x of z into z to the power of minus n naught. So similarly, we can rewrite this one, x of n plus n naught, the corresponding z transform we can write as x of z into, if it is minus is there, it will become minus. If it is plus is there, it will become x of n into z to the power of n naught here. So done. Okay, so this is called as the time shift property. Okay, so we'll go for the next one. The next property, which is called as the scaling in the Z domain property. So take the property number 3, scaling in the Z domain property. So what you are going to do is you are going to scale the term in the x of n with the certain scalar called as alpha to the power of n. We'll do it here and we'll see that one. So you can take if x of n z transform x of z, if x of n z transform x of z, then we have alpha to the power of n into x of n. The corresponding z transform will become equal to the x of z divided by alpha. X of z divided by alpha. This is the property which is called as a scaling in the z domain property. So in the z domain, you are going to scale the scalar, and the time domain, you are going to scale it by the alpha to the power of n. Okay. Done. Okay, so we'll do it here. We'll consider proof of this one. So we'll consider the z transform of this one. So z transform of alpha to the power of n into x of n. So this is the but summation n is equal to minus infinity plus infinity alpha to the power of n into x of n into z to the power of minus n, z to the power of minus n. So among this one, the alpha is common here. So we can rewrite as summation n is equal to minus infinity plus infinity x of n. So in place of here n is common. So here z inverse into alpha to the power of n. Sorry, z inverse into alpha to the power of n. So here, in order to have the z transform, we should have minus n should be there here. So that's why I'll take minus common here. So it has become summation n is equal to minus infinity plus infinity x of n into z into alpha inverse to the power of n, z into alpha inverse to the power of n. So here we can write the input is the x here, and the corresponding z will become, so it is z into alpha inverse here. So remove n here, whatever the term will be there, we are going to get this is z into alpha inverse, or we can write this as z into x of z by alpha. So this is the z transform of alpha to the power of n into, this is the z transform of alpha to the power of n into x of n. Okay, so or else we can write alpha to the power of n into x of n, the corresponding z transform, it has become x of z by alpha. Okay, so this is what the scaling in the z domain property. We'll take the next one, which is called as the time reversal property. So take the property number 4, which is called as the time reversal property. So in the time reversal limit, we are going to reverse the time. Let us see what will happen in the frequency domain. So you can take if x of n z transform is equal to x of z. So then we have what we have is x of minus n. The corresponding z transform is become x of 1 by z. X of 1 by z will get. So let us see that one. So we'll consider the z transform. So we'll consider the proof of this one. So the x of z is nothing but we have the formula summation x of n into z inverse, x of n into z inverse. Now we'll consider the z transform of x of minus n. So it has become summation n is equal to minus infinity to the plus infinity x of minus n, or let us we can do replace n to the minus n here also, so that we'll get the required term here. Both the terms are same here. Both the terms are same. Okay, so what we can do is, so in order to get this one, so we can replace n by, the proof can be done in this manner also. So replace n by minus n. So if you're going to replace, better you can do go for this method only, because so that we'll get this one. Consider z transform of x of minus n. So this has become summation x of minus n into z to the power of minus n. I'm taking this as the input here. Okay. So x of minus n into z to the power of minus n. Now we should have only the single term should be there. So what we'll do is we are going to replace L by the minus m here. So let L will be replaced with the minus n. In place of minus n, we are going to substitute with the L here. L we are going to substitute. So this implies that n can be replaced with the minus L, and the summation will become, so when n is equal to minus infinity, L will become equal to the plus infinity. And when n is equal to the plus infinity, L will become equal to the minus infinity. So this has become z transform of x of minus n will become summation L is equal to plus infinity to the minus infinity x of L into z to the power of plus L will get here, z to the power of plus L. Okay, so here we'll change the limits, order of the limits here. L is equal to minus infinity plus infinity x of L, and to have the z transform we should have the inverse should be there here. So that's why I'm going to multiply minus 1 with this one. So this one we can write as a x of z inverse. X of z inverse is nothing but x of 1 by z we can write here. So therefore we can write x of minus n. So if we consider the z transform of this one, it has become x of 1 by z will get here. X of 1 by z. Okay. So this is what the z transform of the